As we are going to be heading into what may be the match point for Game 3 of Rift Rivals 2017 Finals between, of course, the GPL versus the LJL. Of course, before anything else, let us go ahead and introduce ourselves. We are going to be Yo Casters, Arctic at Yo Service Fam, and of course, with me is Amplifier.
Alright, so we're about to get into, like you said, what's possibly the final game in this series. Has been a really crazy ride, but LJL, like we've mentioned over and over again, they've really shown such a great performance ever since the group stage. They went straight to the finals, and even now, looking at the third seed and second seed, even though they're the bottom two seeds representing LJL, they both look very strong. So now we're about to see what the first seed of LJL is like as they go up against Gigabyte Marines. That's Gigabyte Marines versus Rampage. And Gigabyte Marines, they did a lot of carrying for Southeast Asia yesterday. They defeated the entire roster of the Oceanic Pro League just so that C could make it in. And now the two teams of C have lost. Mineski and Ascension Gaming have lost the previous two games. Now we'll have to see if GAM can save the series or if Rampage will finalize it.
Về việc những tuyển thủ người Hàn đang thi đấu tại LJL và đặc biệt là toàn bộ người đi rừng của họ đều là người Hàn, thì em cảm thấy đây không phải là một nỗi lo ngại đối với em, bởi vì em đã từng có những trận thi đấu với những người đi rừng Hàn trước đây.
GPL 地域のチームの中で一番活躍している選手だと思うのはやっぱりリヴァイ選手ですね。彼はすごい積極的に自分がキャリーしようっていう意思がもうどのジャングラーよりも強く感じれて、しかもそれを実行できているので素晴らしいプレイヤーだと思います。
USG is not that good. Their composition is only around Remind, so if we beat Remind, we will beat them. Mineski is not doing good right now, but we will make sure tomorrow in our first match we will beat USG, and GPL we will win Rift Rivals.
ランページは、チームとして穴がなくて、でどこからでもゲームを作ることができて、なおかついろんな戦術を使えるところが強みだと思います。で DFM は序盤は結構落ち着いた試合を作って、終盤からどんどんチームファイトでゲームを決めていくチームだと思います。USG は、ミッドとジャングルのラインのコンビネーションでゲームを進めて、でそのまま勝っていくっていうところが長所です。
Theo đánh giá của mình thì Nhật Bản là một khu vực rất là mạnh vì họ có tinh thần teamwork rất cao và tâm lý vững vàng.
Xuyên suốt 3 ngày thi đấu vừa qua thì mình khá là tự tin, và hôm nay là trận chung kết. Hôm nay mình sẽ đối đầu với lại người đi đường giữa của đội được đánh giá là hiệp giảm số 1 của Nhật Bản, và mình đánh giá anh ấy có một kỹ năng khá là cao, nhưng anh ấy không có gì quá đặc biệt, và hôm nay mình vẫn rất là tự tin vì gặp lại anh ấy.
GPL 地域の特徴としては、来る前も来てからも印象は変わってないんですけど、すごいアグレッシブな地域ということですね。日本のチームからしたら結構意外性のあるところでアクションを起こしたりローテーションをしたりするので、そういった日本のチームからしたら慣れてないようなローテーションやアクションに対して日本のチームはうまくリアクションをする必要があると思っています。
Vòng chung kết sắp tới thì mình chỉ mong rằng mình sẽ không mắc nhiều sai lầm và cố gắng thi đấu tập trung hơn, hoàn thiện giai đoạn đi đường để có một kết quả thật tốt.
今日ギガバイトマリーンズの試合を見て思ったのは、やっぱりミッドとジャングルが中心としたチームだと思っていて、で僕たちが勝ったのもそのミッドとジャングルの、オプティマス選手とリヴァイ選手を抑えたっていうところも勝因の一つだと思っているので、明日の試合はミッドとジャングルを抑えて勝ちたいと思います。Khi đối đầu với các tuyển thủ LJL mà họ chú ý đến em thì em sẽ thu hút sự chú ý của họ và để cho đồng đội của mình tỏa sáng, và còn nếu họ không chú ý đến em thì em sẽ chứng minh cho họ thấy là họ đang mắc sai lầm.
And wow, there we go. But of course, with all said and done, GPL definitely with their back against the wall right now. There's quite the climb, a lot of carrying once again for Gigabyte Marines to kind of execute. But the thing here is, the tricky part is that even with Gigabyte Marines, let's say they go for the straight twos, they still need that one win for Ascension Gaming to perform, if ever we do go all the way to Game 5.
That's true, and it's really interesting to hear the perspective of the players themselves about how they see the other teams and stuff like that. Like for example, that was GAM Optimus talking about the mid laner in of Rampage, and he was saying that he's skillful, but he's not that special, so he's not afraid to face him. Meanwhile, Rampage seems like they have GAM all figured out. You know, they're saying that all they have to do is focus the mid and jungle, and we'll have to see if that'll show throughout the game, but it definitely showed when they faced during the group stage, just like Rampage said. So now we'll have to take a look at the pick and ban. Thresh, Tam Kenshin, Elise being taken out on the side of Rampage. Meanwhile, GAM will be banning out Rek'Sai, Zyra, and Zac.
Man, of course, as we head into the picks, of course, as well, Varus actually locked in right off the bat for Rampage. You know, a lot of confidence on that champion for Yutori Moyasi. And in exchange, of course, Gigabyte Marines themselves going to be taking up this Lulu and the Gragas as well. A lot of priority on these two champions right there.
Yeah, just like you said, Varus has been... actually, that's the only champion that Yutori Moyasi has played in the group stage. And he's going to be playing it the third time in a row so far in this tournament. Meanwhile, for GAM, yes, that's going to be Lulu and Gragas. Lee Sin on Tussle, which is pretty interesting because he hasn't played that one just yet. Played Kha'Zix and Rek'Sai previously, and Rakan. So this is also going to be a first we'll be seeing from Rampage. We'll have to see if they can pull that one off.
Yeah, definitely. And with all said and done, I'm actually interested in seeing what No Way himself will be pulling up, going up against Yutori Moyasi in that bot lane right there, because what's interesting here is that if you're going to look at it by history in the group stage, Gigabyte Marines actually suffered one loss against Rampage. So Rampage themselves definitely entering this with a little bit more confidence, I'd say, because they do have that upper hand as far as just by the history.
Yeah.
So this is Gigabyte Marines wanting their vengeance. Hopefully not only just vengeance, but potentially pull this all the way for the GPL.
Definitely true. They're looking to carry over the next two games if possible. If they win this one, they'll lengthen the series and make it reach Game 4. Well, they will face Rampage again. But Rampage, of course, looking to finally end the series 3-0 and dominate, as LJL has been doing since the group stage. We'll have to see now. Second ban phase, Orianna being taken away from I'm not sure how to pronounce this one, if it's Ramyun or Ramune. But that's going to be Orianna. He did play Orianna during the group stage. Jax being taken away. Archie actually performed well on this one in the games yesterday. I believe he was being played against Camille. So we'll have to see, or rather we won't see Jax this time. Camille is left open though. This was something that Evie played twice during the group stage. So we'll have to see if that's banned. Actually, no, it's not. It's going to be Cassiopeia.
Yeah, in exchange though for Archie at the same time though. I mean, what's interesting here is that by history, we've seen mostly the Kennen and the Jax. So if ever they do ban out the Kennen, I'm actually interested in seeing what other champions the Gigabyte Marines might be putting on for Archie, because as we've been pegging earlier, we really haven't found Archie's performance over on the Rift Rivals as consistent as the other members of the Gigabyte Marines. So it's definitely really up to him to step up this game. If anything, you know, just kind of perform above than what was expected of him during the previous days.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering if his performance yesterday will carry over today, because yesterday he seemed to be performing better than usual compared to the previous games here at Rift Rivals. This Tristana is an interesting pick for me actually. Syndra being banned and taken away from Optimus there, so we won't be seeing that. Talia is going to be locked in here for Optimus instead, which he didn't seem to perform so well on in the previous game he played her. There's going to be Galio actually left open. He was not banned, so will they get that or will they secure the Jarvan? Some possible wombo combos here with the Rakan and the Varus.
That would be scary though, even with going for the Jarvan. If ever they do opt for this Galio, you know, that's going to be make for a very explosive combo here across the board for Rampage. You know, but with Gigabyte Marines though, again, this Talia, I'm actually surprised. Maybe this could have been a possibility that Gigabyte Marines put in, wherein Optimus sure might have not had the best time on this Talia before, but rather than giving it to Ramune especially, so we'll just have to see.
Yeah, definitely. The Galio being locked in, so this is going to be a full engaged team composition. Just look at all of those champions, all of them with all the CC. The damage, though, is going to be falling off really heavily towards the mid to late, so that's something that Rampage has to watch out for. They're kind of running on a timer for this game. Meanwhile, Sion being the last pick here for Archie, so something we haven't seen him on ever in this tournament. Seeing a lot of pocket picks here from GAM. We're seeing Tristana, we're seeing the Sion. I'm pretty excited to see how this is going to turn out for the game.
Yeah, and overall, I really like, despite, if you're going to look at how Rampage kind of draft here, a lot of in it to win it going into these clashes. However, with Gigabyte Marines, I like the fact that they actually have a pretty decent amount of disengage through the Gragas, through the Tristana to an extent as well.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to see how that eventually works out for them. Again, the tricky part here for Rampage though is that if they get a full-on just before Gigabyte Marines could respond with the disengages if needed, then that's where Gigabyte Marines would ultimately falter. So again, this is just very crucial, this game 3 right here.
Yeah, and I think it makes you wonder too, GAM, they were willing to bring out these sort of unconventional picks at a very, very critical game that may cost the series for the region. So I'm guessing they must be very confident in these pocket picks. And again, like I said, I'm really excited to see how GPL, or rather GAM, will pull this one off. There's a final handshake from the coaches as we move into what may be the final game here for Rift Rivals. Will LJL completely dominate, or will GAM keep the hope alive for seed?
Yeah, but for how long exactly? You know, they've really exhausted a lot of firepower these past few days to carry GPL all the way to the final. So it all comes down to this, of course, for this Rift Rivals right here, the very first for these 3 regions. So of course, bragging rights are on the line, along with the glory to prove that your region is somewhat of a force to be reckoned with, not only just for this tournament, but in general, especially with Worlds just around the corner.
Definitely true. And LGL, you know, like we were mentioning earlier, they are relatively young as a region. They don't have as much experience going for them in their league compared to the others, for example. So it's really interesting to see them perform this well, considering the age of their league, and looking to maybe continue to grow. For all we know, LJL may even one day come to match the other power regions out there like Korea and China, for example. So looking forward to seeing how that's going to go.
Yeah, and just in general, I actually like that you brought that up, because overall, as soon as they kind of switched up the format for MSI, wherein we saw a lot of these different regions, you know, it just really goes to show that, sure, Korea definitely performed. They always perform. But then again, there's always these other promising regions that I feel like we're seeing manifest here in Rift Rivals, where in Japan, we haven't really considered them as much a threat, probably like a few splits back.
Yeah.
But now coming in stronger than ever. Exactly.
Yeah, definitely true. I wonder if we will see them at Worlds, for example, this year, because so far, when we checked the previous MSI, Gigabyte Marines, you know, they really surprised. They were able to reach, I believe that was 6th place, and they've secured a 2nd slot for C. But at the same time, LJL, they still have that 1 slot. I'm wondering if maybe, looking at the performance now, they'll be able to defeat Southeast Asia during that play-in stage. Or actually, I'm not even sure how Worlds...
And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is going to be match point. Do you guys want to see the LGL take it all the way with a clean 3-0, or will Gigabyte Marines, our Lord and Saviors of the GPL, be able to reverse it and keep, hopefully, just hopefully, keep the dream alive for Southeast Asia? Once again, this is going to be Game 3 for the Rift Rivals 2017 Finals. Let's head into the action.
All right, let's see how things start off. Earlier, we might have seen level 1 engage, but it didn't happen this time. We're actually seeing GAM grouping together. Might have been expecting an invade there coming in from Tussle on that Lee Sin, but it didn't happen. In fact, no, actually, we didn't see it, but they were able to place a deep ward on the blue buff there of RPG. But I don't think they'll be going for any kind of invade there. Sion moving down here. Is there going to be... Oh, it's going to be a lane swap.
Whoa, that's something we haven't seen like seasons back.
What? Oh, man. It's going to be a lane swap here being pulled off. That's going to be Raptors given to... Whoa, this is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually quite baffled right now.
Yeah.
You know, Gigabyte Marines, just when we thought that they're bringing out these interesting pocket picks, you know, clearly with a very definitive game plan going into this finals right here, clearly no bars being held back whatsoever for the Vietnamese squad.
This is really interesting. We'll have to see how this one turns out. Evie getting very low. There's going to be the bomb prop, and the Ignite actually not there. It's not going to finish him off, actually.
Yeah, I mean, wow. Especially with the Sion for RGT, I'm actually wondering how the opposite side will fare as well. Because there's a very good reason why we haven't seen lane swaps for so long.
Yeah.
It is because of those changes to the turrets towards the opposite sides of the map here, and the bot side is a little bit more vulnerable than the top. So again, I'm actually interested in seeing how Gigabyte Marines will be dealing with this, despite those changes, which actually resulted to the overall out-of-trend lane swapping in a sense.
Oh. Be a flash here.
Yeah, and Levi, though, getting chased really heavily by both Dara and Tussle, but looks like they'll be holding off the offense for the meantime.
Yeah, not gonna be any kind of kills going on there, as the bot lane here of RPG continues to push in Archie as expected with this lane swap. This is going to be happening. It's going to be Dara pushing in as well. Ignites for both supports actually in this game, so going to be a pretty aggressive start. We're seeing actually Levy helping out Archie here. Going to be spending a bit of time in lane. Meanwhile, Lee Sin, he was able to invade just a bit, and he's going to be moving back now. That's going to be Optimus spotting out Tussle. So Tussle will be moving over to his blue buff now.
Ooh, look at this though. Optimus dealing a lot of damage onto Ramune. Forced to flash away though.
Wow, so forcing that flash actually. Optimus doing pretty well. He has used both of his biscuits actually though. So we'll have to see. Oh,
Levy looking to start something though. Yutori Moyase taking a lot of damage though. Forced to back away. Will they be able to survive? It looks like they will be indeed. Those are two melee champions regardless. So looks like he will be able to survive yet another day. Still very low HP.
Oh, this is so interesting. Levy's actually staying here for a very long time right now. Sort of acting as a support here for Archie. I'm wondering if this was planned out here by GAM. It really does seem like it. Optimus though, moving in.
Oh no, Gigabyte Marines making the play though. Yutori Moyase still surviving though. That is going to be first blood going to Archie. First to flash away to avoid those turret shots, but still, Gigabyte Marines, very risky play. Working too much effectivity though. That is going to be a 0-1.
Levy, is he going to get hit?
Oh no, Heavy though in the vicinity. Gonna get the knock up though. Optimus, no mana, no health whatsoever. Managing to dodge the Demolition Standard, but Dara will be getting the kill on to Levy. Archie trying to back away as much as possible though. Very, very low health. Will they be going for the dive? Double kill going to Dara.
Oh, so that's going to be a support double kill, but regardless, it is going to give a lot of gold over to the side of RPG. That weird lane swap phenomenon, I don't know still how to react to it, but it is going to give a bit of gold there for RPG. Really weird what's going on right now, but it is going to be a TP from Archie. He's going to go back there, so they are going to continue to hold this lane swap until Noe can probably knock out the first turret and secure the first blood gold.
I'm actually interested in thinking that because as we've seen from the interview earlier, we've actually got a clip of the coaches actually talking to each other, and like the coach for Gigabyte Marine said, they're kind of helping each other out, try to pull off a win here in the finals. So it's kind of reminiscent of, in a way, of what I've seen in Mineski, wherein they kind of played this element of surprise. The same going in for Gigabyte Marines, though, on a much more higher macro scale. But let's go ahead and see what happened here in this tower.
Yeah, so we're seeing the tower dive here, and yeah, actually, he does go down, and there's going to be a lot of flashes burned actually here. But because everyone was so low, they weren't able to keep track here. Evie able to go for the TP, and he makes it a 1-for-1, which really sucks actually for GAM, because they were hoping that this lane swap ideally should go perfectly. If you're gonna pull off cheesy strategies like this, you want it to go quite cleanly, but when stuff like that happens, that kind of sets the gold over to the other team's favor. It makes you wonder if pulling off the lane swap was a good idea in the first place, because I'm not sure how rewarding it is for GAM exactly.
With Gigabyte Marines, what I really like about them is they're very cause and effect in terms of how they play out this game, thinking one step ahead. And I'm actually thinking, regardless if this was almost intentional, that they're trying to devote a lot of power towards the bot side, really pressuring it to get responses from Rampage, because in effect, No Way able to take a lot of XP, you know, free farming during the entire duration that action was happening towards bot side, with this turret being taken down to much effectivity. So we'll just have to see if this eventually translates to a larger game plan transitioning into that mid-game for Gigabyte Marines.
Yeah, I mean, with this lane swap, they were kind of able to confuse Tussle on the Lee Sin and sort of negate that early jungle pressure, as well as giving GAM the first blood turret gold there. So it is going to be helping GAM in that sense. We'll have to see how it turns out as it progresses, though. Archie is able to farm under tower much better, though. He is actually like 10 CS ahead. So things are looking pretty good for GAM right now. They are slightly ahead in gold.
Oh, Dara, though, trying to get the knock-up onto Levy. Not quite connecting, but then again, pressured. RPG really going in at it onto the side of GAM.
We're actually seeing Galio move in here.
And are they going to go for the steal onto blue buff, though? A lot of pressure onto Levy. They did kind of peg both Levy and Optimus as the driving force for Gigabyte Marines. So overall, I'm actually really curious to see as to whether or not Gigabyte Marines. Again, this is such a high risk that they pulled off. Then again, I really like the logic. You know, whenever Gigabyte Marines goes for these interesting configurations, it actually pays off for them beautifully. So always a pleasure to watch. But of course, this is a very crucial match that we have here.
Exactly. I mean, I don't even know if it's too early or too late to say that this has paid off for Gigabyte Marines. They are continuing to push down this bot lane. It is a 3-man now at the bottom. What is going to happen? Oh, we're going to have a bit of a delay there. But anyway, yeah, so we just saw LJL. I think they're a bit baffled right now because a lane swap, like you said, it's something that we haven't seen in a really long time. I think a lot of analysts would say that this is something we've missed actually in quite a while. But right now, it does seem like Gigabyte Marines pulled it off. They were able to negate that early pressure coming in from the Lee Sin. He got a bit confused with the path that he should take. They were able to keep Noe farmed on that Tristana. Sion was farming better under the turret compared to the Jarvan. And I'm actually wondering, because I'm not a top laner myself, so I'm not sure how the Jarvan-Sion matchup goes. But I don't think that lane swap was pulled off just for the top lane matchup sake, because I think Sion can actually do well against the Jarvan. It's just that when you do that lane swap, it's negating that Lee Sin Jarvan level 6 pressure in a sense, maybe. So we'll have to see how it continues to go on, and I would love to hear actually analysis from the viewers, maybe out there, if you guys know a better rationale behind that move. But it's definitely exciting to see, although we are quite early on into the game, so I'm not sure how it's going to unfold.
Yeah, but considering how Gigabyte Marines, again, they really go for these calculated plays in a way that even I myself, like sometimes during the earlier phases of the game, they go for these really interesting unorthodox configurations that makes you wonder, are they doing this on purpose? Is this some sort of cheese? But then again, once you actually transition into the mid and late game, it suddenly all makes sense. Like the puzzle pieces just kind of come together. But it looks like we'll be heading back into the game. Of course, as a quick recap, we are now in 2-1 for Game 3 of this finals match. Third match point for LJL versus GPL. Again, this is of course Rampage versus Gigabyte Marines.
9 minutes in, and it looks like a 1,000 gold lead so far for GAM as their lane swap continues to pull off. Now things are back into standard lanes. No way trying to move back. Bit of poke there onto Sia, and things stabilized just a bit. Looking at the team compositions here, like I mentioned during the pick and ban, Rampage, they're kind of on a timer here because looking at the champions on their team composition, they really don't have that much damage going for them once you reach that mid to late game phase. Unlike GAM, who has Tristana on their side. So Rampage, keeping that in mind, they must feel the pressure. Optimus though.
Whoa, are we going to be seeing a play though? Oh, it's actually going to be Saya that gets the root, but Optimus getting the kill onto Dara. Here comes Ramune though with the hero's entrance, hoping to get the taunt onto Noe. Not quite connecting though. Tussle as well joins the party, trying to make a play to get vengeance, but no, not quite going to work out. That is going to be a 0-for-1. Wow, in favor of the Gigabyte Marines.
Ooh, so that's going to be an even bigger gold lead now at 10 minutes in. Not too big just yet, but it's enough to put them in the lead. The first Drake is going to be the Mountain Drake, actually, and this will be really helpful for GAM. Just imagining the way that the siege will go once you hit that mid-game phase, when the Tristana gets farmed, when the Sion gets tanky. I'm not sure what RPG will be able to do once GAM reaches that most optimal, or rather the peak of their siege phase. So really, Rampage, they have to be able to negate Noe from reaching that state in the game.
I mean, overall, though, this is what I'm talking about. This is just an overall match that screams very much worthy of being called a finals game right here, being exhibited by the Gigabyte Marines. I mean, what actually baffles me is the fact, despite going for that transitionary swap towards the top side and then changing back to the bot side for Noe and Saya, regardless, look at the damage on that bot lane turret. I was actually expecting that a lot more of the damage as far as turrets would be towards Gigabyte Marine's own bot side, but then again, substantially low for Rampage as well. So whatever Gigabyte Marines is doing right now is working in all the right ways.
Yeah, Levy, he stayed in that bot lane for quite a long time, and they almost secured a kill even onto Yutori. So in that sense, they were able to negate the damage that should have been dealt onto GAM's turret. And then when the swap was reversed and Noe went back to bot lane, they were able to deal the damage. Here it is now though, RPG, they're trying to secure a turret of their own, should be their first, but Noe is here to push them back out. So now RPG, with this whole baffling lane swap thing that GAM pulled off, the early game has really been sort of lengthened, and that's not what RPG want. They wanted to be able to snowball this Varus, Jarvan, and Lee Sin strong enough so that they could really dominate during the mid-game, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen.
Man, the thought process and level of strategy that went into this overall gameplay from Gigabyte Marines, I gotta admit, I'm very, very impressed. And even more, right down to the smaller details, just where you think that Gigabyte Marines would actually be falling a bit behind, they're actually not. Look at this top lane. Even though Archie was technically at a disadvantage, laning against both Itori Moyasi and Dara, he's actually up in CS in comparison to Evie. So I don't know how this is eventually working out for Gigabyte Marines. Technically, I've always pegged Gigabyte Marines as the team that's always kind of up on CS, regardless of whether they're behind. But even with all these risks and still being up, very, very commendable from the Vietnamese squad.
Still no Mountain Drake pressure though because of that lane swap. Man, that early game is really making me think. I actually want to watch this game again because usually when the lane swap like that happens, you have the bot lane with the duo secure the Drake in order to sort of punish the other team, right? For going for that lane swap. That's usually what happens. But with Levy staying at that bot lane and pushing in RPG to sort of stay under their turret, the first Drake wasn't given to RPG when it should have been the punishing move onto GAM. So now Rift Herald was taken, right? And it goes over to GAM. Now Earth Drake, or rather Mountain Drake, is also free for GAM. So GAM actually has the option to just take everything even after making that lane swap. Usually that doesn't happen. But I think RPG was really baffled by that move. And I'm really interested to see if RPG will be able to compose themselves and find an opening to get their foot back in this game. Right now, it looks really confusing for them.
Yeah, confusing indeed. I'm not sure. They really don't know how to respond. Look at the damage, though, going on to Evie. Man, oh man. And if you're going to look at the itemization of Archie, though, there's not even really a clear telltale sign of actual damage being built overall. So the fact that he's dealing that much, no, though, this is going to be a fight. Here comes Ramune with the hero's entrance. Looks like Archie might be regretting the overextend, but there we go. Looks like it is going to be a kill for Rampage, though, but here comes the Rift Herald for Gigabyte Marines.
Diverting the attention there, using two ults. There's going to be no dragon, or rather, yeah, the ult from Lee Sin there, as well as the ult from Galio won't be available. This Rift Herald will finish off the turret, I think. Yes, it will, and that's going to be 3 turrets. All outer turrets right now are gone on RPG's side, and GAM are walking away with, what, 1 casualty onto Archie. How worth is that?
Man, Rampage, I feel like for every single move that they make is very calculated, almost expected by the Gigabyte Marines. So, almost playing to the Gigabyte Marines' hand in this case. So, it's actually quite baffling. And transitioning into the later parts of the game, like you mentioned, it's almost like a prolonged early game heading into the 15-minute mark here. So I'm actually, again, it's really up to Rampage here to try to figure out the puzzle that Gigabyte Marines kind of settled for them as to what the mystery is, to what they're going for with the logic of their composition, and what plays that they've been making proactively, which have been overall, I gotta say, paying off.
And I mean, looking at the junglers as well, we saw how Levy stayed in the bot lane for a pretty long time. Tussle wasn't able to punish that. He wasn't able to get any kills while Levy was sort of wasting time at the bot lane trying to help Archie. It turned out not to be a waste of time actually, because Archie was able to stay up in CS and really keep the bot lane safe along with Levy. So now 3k gold lead almost for GAM here at 15 minutes in, and all outer turrets are being pressured. They might as well take this Mountain Drake to help them further siege. But RPG, what did they do? Because looking at their team composition, we mentioned during the pick and ban phase that this looked like an all-in team. It looked like the kind of team that wanted to really get the dives onto the backline, take down Noe, take down Optimus, you know. But that hasn't happened at all for them in this game.
Not at all. And overall, everything with Gigabyte Marines working so perfectly right now. Oh, Optimus though getting the offensive onto Remedy. There is a Galio though, so taking a lot of that magic damage. Still not really much of a scratch though. So overall, really good pressure from Gigabyte Marines though, across the map actually.
Yeah, they're really keeping a lot of their lanes safe. Still wondering why there's no Mountain Drake pressure here, because I really think GAM could take this, but it is still quite dangerous because at this point in the game, it is early game, and RPG's team composition is built to fight around Dragon, actually, if you think about it. So it could be quite crucial or critical and swing everything back in RPG's favor if GAM make a risky Dragon take. So they're just taking things slowly, setting up the vision slowly, actually. We can see the wards starting to pile up here on the red buff side of RPG. And then maybe that's when GAM will go for the taking.
And the funny thing is here, I don't think Rampage really knows not to do just yet, or to even do at this point, because looking at the overall thing here, Gigabyte Marines more on the offensive proactive plays that Rampage in a sense forced to kind of go into this reactive responsive position wherein they just kind of match whatever Gigabyte Marines does across the map. And in exchange, with all this confusion, without Rampage themselves really going for any proactivity, this just allows more room for Gigabyte Marines to capitalize on whatever advantages that they have, including, finally, the Mountain Drake.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a very horrible position for Rampage to be on the reactive side looking at their team composition. They don't have that privilege using their team composition to be reactive. They're supposed to be the proactive team comp. Unless they had something like maybe a Cassiopeia that could wait out into the late game, they could go for that option. But with their team composition, really, reacting is not an option. They have to be the ones making the move. But I also understand where they're coming from, because what happened during the early game really confused them, I think.
Definitely. And with all said and done, Gigabyte Marines, I gotta say, I mean, the funny thing here with Rampage is that Gigabyte Marines, they gave them this Galio. So it's almost like Gigabyte Marines thinking that we're leaving it open for them with much purpose.
Yeah.
This is literally the first time I've seen a Galio resign to not really exhibiting any form of proactive plays. You know, getting any initiates on. Again, this is Rampage. Like I mentioned, they have so many ways of getting an engage onto Gigabyte Marines, but it hasn't really shown throughout these first, leaning towards the 20 minutes of the game. So I'm actually interested in seeing how this will eventually transition for Gigabyte Marines, because from what I've been seeing, they've been in complete control of this game. That Rampage kind of playing into the palm of their hand.
Yeah, the Marines have just been pushing Rampage around pretty much so far for the game. 18 minutes in. Baron is coming up in 1 minute and 10 seconds. Mountain Drake is in the hands actually of GAM, as well as a 3k gold lead, so they have a bunch of different options right now. Looking at the itemization, Blade of the Ruined King is done for Varus, and there's an engage.
No, this is going to be a fight though. Archie trying to back away, but wow, actually manages to get out of the Cataclysm in the nick of time right there. Exhausting a flash though, but still very well. No casualties just yet for the Gigabyte Marines until now, except for those two over here.
Meanwhile, Ramones still has to defend this bot lane, which has been continually pressured, I think, by Archie and Optimus. So he's left there, and he hasn't been able to use that hero's entrance or the TP to much of a great effect so far. We haven't seen really any impactful ults from Ramona just yet. Meanwhile, Archie going to be moving over to this top lane, and Baron, I don't know if anyone can take it just yet, but we've seen cheesy Barons before. Actually, we just saw it in the previous game where Ascension took the Baron quite early, so nothing to sacrifice here. Everyone keeping on their toes.
Yeah, definitely. And the longer this game goes, I'm actually surprised, because technically leaning towards this 20-minute mark here, you'd actually expect Rampage's composition to be a little bit more explosive per se, as far as trying to find ways to get the initiate onto Gigabyte Marines. But thus far, again, it's all about the responsive plays coming in from Rampage, as far as matching whatever Gigabyte Marines does across the map. That, I don't know, it's quite baffling to me personally, because this isn't quite the tempo you'd expect from a composition that Rampage drafted.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we thought during pick and ban, but GAM really baffled the team, and now they're not really sure how to respond. Baron is up now, and the vision is in favor. Actually, the tempo, all the waves are pushing in their favor as well. Optimus, he has the Weaver's Wall in case they need to go back. A lot of pings here at mid lane, and GAM really just spreading out their options. They can push top, they can push bot, go straight for Baron, maybe make a play at mid even with that Weaver's Wall.
Overall, though, I'm actually surprised. If you're going to look at the gold deficit in general for other lanes, not necessarily all of them, but still, Rampage slowly keeping up to par with Gigabyte Marines, wherein technically, as far as CS lanes, that's usually been something that Gigabyte Marines has always shined throughout Rift Rivals, and even throughout their competitive competitive games in general outside of Rift Rivals. So slowly, this is the thing though, since we've reached such a passive phase within this game here, it's just to kind of matching wherein while Gigabyte Marines just kind of going for subtle proactivity across the map, Rampage as well, this gives them all the more opportunity to continue to form a matchup with whatever Gigabyte Marines is doing as far as CS.
That's true. Now we'll have to see though, itemization. It's going to be Optimus almost with the Leandries. He does start off with the Banshee. And the 80 carries both still trying to approach their second core item. So 20 minutes in, I guess that's just about right.
Yeah, this is what I like about Gigabyte Marines. Usually, when you see things that kind of start becoming a little bit more calm, you kind of know that the GAM is going for this scenario wherein they're slowly building up on the core items they need first, and that's suddenly when they go for the kill. But looks like Dara himself might actually be caught out, though forced to back away as Saya actually on his case, and that would have been scary, especially with Levy in the vicinity. But nonetheless, still no casualties just yet. Still very safe and sound, very quiet on Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, so far, I think that is usually what happens after the lane swap. The mid-game kind of becomes quiet as things start to settle down and then explode again when we hit around the 25 to 27 minute mark. It's going to be Evie trying to push out this bot lane. Still no turrets for Rampage so far, and the Baron, or sorry, the Dragon is coming up in around 1 minute. This bot lane pushed up might help them to secure a bit of vision, but I think the Scuttle is in favor of GAM right now, so they really got everything checked for the objective so far.
Man, I've never seen a game that, considering the draft that Rampage has been this quiet on the Rift.
Yeah.
You know, you'd usually expect a lot of action happening already. If anything, probably Gigabyte Marines themselves forced into a more responsive position, but that's clearly not the case. Especially, this is a Tristana that we're talking about for Gigabyte Marines, you know, usually popping up towards the later phases of the game. So just the fact that it doesn't even seem like Noe is having any struggles whatsoever transitioning into later parts, that's actually quite interesting. A great setup coming in for Gigabyte Marines. Again, the forethought, the level of play, the predetermining conditions that they need to live up to as far as the first 10 minutes in order to execute what Silence we're seeing right now, which is technically a disadvantage for Rampage, is absolutely brilliant to watch.
Yes, definitely. And the Mountain Drake is going to be the second one, so that's going to further accelerate the siege potential here from Gigabyte Marines. Archie continuing to push.
Ooh,
and Rampage
maybe
falling for a trap, or maybe this will be the turnaround point. We'll have to see, but there's really not much vision in this river. And Galio, quite far, he does have the TP, but without much wards to TP on.
Ooh, there we go. Weaver's Wall, though, disconnecting Rampage from any steal that they could do onto this mountain. Not just a steal, but potential engages, because if Rampage actually continued onto this Dragon, that could have been a fight, but still, Gigabyte Marine's doing great at making sure no fight's happening just yet.
Cool. Maybe a bit of a duel here, but Optimus able to keep the outer turret safe, really starving Rampage actually of any turrets, or any objectives rather. Both Drakes and all turrets so far are theirs.
Man,
so far, ever since I think like 5-7 minute mark, no kills have happened at all. And like you said, it's really going over to GAM's advantage.
And overall with the Gigabyte Marines, what I really like about this is they kind of created their own win conditions that Rampage isn't even sure as to how they could respond to. And technically, when I feel like they do kind of want to go for responses as far as, since they couldn't really get any engages, potentially go for sieges, but Gigabyte Marines always kind of within the corner, preventing Rampage from even getting sieges onto turrets. So again, the forethought that Gigabyte Marines put into this, it's just really manifesting for them really, really well, that I'm interested in seeing just when that optimal pop is for them, when they reach certain items that they actually start going for these fights.
Yeah, because the thing is, Rampage's win condition with their team composition was supposed to beat the Snowball during the early to mid game, but that's pretty much gone now. So really the best thing they can do is to sort of wait for GAM to make a mistake, maybe find the proper team fight or engage, get that Baron, and try to use their team composition to maybe get a really nice hard engage onto Noe. That's the only thing I can imagine right now, maybe securing the Baron.
Ooh, Levy, though, might be in trouble. No recalls actually within the vicinity that Rampage is available. Hero's Entrance actually coming in, though. This might actually be a casualty for the Gigabyte Marine. Saya actually tries to save his teammate, but he himself may actually be in trouble. Archie goes for the teleport response, but here we go. Looks like it's going to be a lot of members of Rampage converging on this top turret. They really want at their first turret of the game. It looks like they'll be able to do just that. Archie himself might actually be in trouble. Looks like Noe forced to jump away. That's going to be Evie with the Cataclysm. Oh no, though, Archie gonna be going down. Optimus actually might be a little bit in too late, though, with the passive of Archie trying to tank in a little bit of damage.
Will this be a turnaround?
Actually gets the takedown onto Galio. Oh no, no way. No way. You guys are not gonna be escaping from Rampage. Gets a kill.
Oh my god.
Jumps in. Will this be the cleanup, though? Noe, a lot of confidence, though. Won't be able to continue, but wow. Just when you thought that that was gonna be Rampage's fight, in the end, that was gonna be a 2 for 3. Still, smallly in favor of Rampage, but I gotta say, I feel like that still played to Gigabyte Marines.
I mean, I think that was probably the best thing that Rampage could do. Looking at their team composition, team diving onto a turret is probably the only thing they can do at this point. Maybe secure a couple of kills. They got an objective, so that's as much as they could do. There was a point where they should have actually backed off already instead of giving up the casualties, because it's costing them this. If they had kept themselves alive and not overcommitted to that fight and lost a couple of members, maybe this wouldn't have happened, but they have actually sacrificed a Baron for that team dive.
Wow, I love that. Again, Gigabyte Marines with so much forethought. If you guys notice, Optimus actually released the Weaver's Wall, and from a spectator's point of view, there wasn't really anybody from Rampage within the vicinity to actually go for the contest. But again, those extra precautionary measures that, again, this is Gigabyte Marines manifesting, thinking 3 to 4 steps ahead of Rampage. Again, playing in the palm of their hand. So this is just very, very interesting indeed. And what's scary here is that No Way is gonna really pop off. That's as we transition into the later parts of the game.
It's gonna be even harder to lock him down now. Oh, engage here.
Oh no, this is gonna be a fight though. That's gonna be the taunt onto Optimus though. Might be in a bit of trouble. Cataclysm coming in from AV, but looks like Optimus will be the first casualty of this clash right here. Noe actually jumps in, tries to take out the members of the Rampage. Look at the damage, manages to take down Evie. Looks like Ramune himself trying to back away. Noe gonna be jumping in. We'll be getting the reset for Noe. Double kill. He wants more blood though. That is gonna be a dead tussle. Triple kill for Noe. That is gonna be, wow, a 3-for-1 in favor of the Gigabyte Marines.
And this is exactly what we were talking about during the pick and ban phase. If you allow Gigabyte Marines to reach this mid to late game phase so cleanly, then No Way would go out of control and there's not a single person on Rampage that could kill him. There are not enough carries, or rather not enough damage on the carries of Rampage to take down carries like No Way. And 28 minutes in with a huge gold lead and an inhibitor this early, it's really hard to think of what Rampage can do at this point. Wow, the Nexus turrets are going down so fast.
Whoa, Gigabyte Marines, though, really pushing at it, trying to finish this game. Dara and Yotori Moriasi trying to defend as hard as they can, but looks like Gigabyte Marines, knowing the extent, not pushing the boundaries, will be backing away for the meantime. But wow.
Double Mountain Drake, too, so that was really helping them out. Third Drake is coming up in just a bit. God bless them if this is a third Mountain Drake. It's really going to accelerate the objective game. But, man, they were really able to use that Baron quite well. They reached all the way to taking out one Nexus turret, so we'll have to see if this is going to be another inhibitor take maybe, or maybe go for the Dragon. But whatever it is that they do, they can do anything they want, because Gigabyte Marines is just in such a big lead right now. And No Way with 3 huge items right now, as well as the Quicksilver Sash. It's really difficult to stop him now at this point. You even saw in the earlier team fight, Levy with the explosive cast.
Oh no, this might be quite interesting. Though Yotori Mayasi getting the kill, actually now on a killing spree. Very, very scary indeed. Levy himself trying to find a way to escape, but that is 5 members of Rampage converging onto him, and that'll be the takedown. 2-for-0 in favor of Rampage.
Bit careless there, actually, from Gigabyte Marines to position themselves there without vision at all at that side of the map. However, No Way with his Baron buff, 2 Mountain Drakes, and the innate siege capability, this will be an easy inner top turret. And the Dragon is live as well, so they'll probably be rotating there. It's going to be the Ocean Drake. So not what we were hoping for. We were hoping for a Mountain Drake, but it is going to help them. Nevertheless,
Optimus getting caught out by 3 members of Rampage. Make that 4. He'll be going down. That actually sets Gigabyte Marines as far as the kills. You know, Rampage slowly coming back, but then again, technically, the late game is all on Gigabyte Marines' advantage as far as the composition.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even really know if those kills matter at this point. Like, it's not really going to set them back that much. The really important target here is No Way. As long as he's not dead, then everything is going to be rolling fine for Gigabyte Marines. The Dragon is live, should be free.
Again, this is the forethought that I've been talking about, which is why it's always an absolute pleasure to watch a Gigabyte Marines game. It's because you kind of have a puzzle presented to you by this team here, and then you're kind of baffled. What are they going for by going for these interesting plays? Why is it so kind of quiet on the rift? But then again, it suddenly manifests. It really shows towards the late game. Again, this is kind of Gigabyte Marines bringing No Way to that point themselves, to that optimal spike for Tristana in a way a little bit, I'd say a little bit more earlier than intended, in a way that Rampage themselves wasn't able to establish such a heavier, if anything, a better lead towards the earlier part to mid, where technically they should have been popping off.
Man, and GAM really showing that they deserve that 6th slot at MSI. You know, they weren't 6th place for no reason.
Yeah,
things are looking really good for them.
I kind of hate to say it, but Gigabyte Marines, they're kind of showing the rest of the world that our region, the performance of the rest of the region that they're in, doesn't necessarily define how powerful they am themselves as a team. If anything, they, like, even outside Rift Rivals, let's go ahead and talk about within the Garena Premier League. This is just very telling of how the rest of the people in the Southeast Asian region really need to step up their game if they even want to live up to this level, this high caliber of play coming in from the Vietnamese squad.
Yes, they're really on a totally different league, like you said, compared to a lot of their neighbors. And GAM looking to lengthen this series possibly as things go in their favor. 6,000 gold lead at 32 minutes in, and as we approach what is the late game, Rampage are running out of options here. Baron is up in the minute and 40, and the lanes are pushing in their favor so far.
This is absolutely bonkers right now, I gotta say. I mean, I couldn't even imagine the mindset that Rampage is in right now. I mean, the game plan was pretty clear for them, but Gigabyte Marines themselves initiated no opportunities for them. But looks like Rampage though trying to find a fight, but still a little bit too hesitant, knowing that No Way himself quite the threat for this fight.
Yeah, Gigabyte Marines are just squishing them down in that bot lane, trying to secure what might be actually the final outer, or rather inner turret. Yep, it's going to go down, and Optimus already took that mid one, or it may have gone down actually earlier. So it's only the inhibitors left at this point. Can Rampage stop them? They'll have to wait for a mistake. Oh, Weaver's Wall locking Evie in. Will that do anything? I don't think it will.
Not quite just yet.
Oh,
though.
the damage!
Rampage, though, might be actually trying to seek a fight here. Will they do so, though? Still a little bit of hesitation to go in on the members of the Gigabyte Marines.
Man, what we need to see is a flash entrance from Dara, a flash flag and drag cataclysm from Evie, or something like that. Oh
no, this is gonna be the fight though. Rampage actually gets it initiated. That is gonna be a knock-up though onto Archie. A lot of resources used it on the top lane of Gigabyte Marines though. Flash away, coming in from Optimus though. Eevee quite low on health here. Eevee trying to make the play here onto Noe. Noe just so painful though. Lots of sustained jumps in. Will be getting the kill. Dara might be the next casualty though. Double kill for Noe. Wow, make that 3 kills for the Gigabyte Marines, and only the bot lane of Rampage to defend this. I don't think they can. This may be the game.
This might just be the game. Ladies and gentlemen, C breathing, barely alive here at Rift Rivals 2017, and it looks like they might just end this one. The final nail to the coffin. Man, Gigabyte Marines really shocked us in this game.
Looks like Dara will be the next to go down. Yutori Moyasi himself actually might get taken down by Noe. That is going to be the shutdown though, going to Levy, but nonetheless, wow. Gigabyte Marines, the salvation, our Lord, our Saviors, the life support for Southeast Asia. Congratulations as we head into a Game 4 later on.
Oh, GG, well played, Gigabyte Marines. And man, revive the lane swap. Please, do it. Revive the lane swap. This will be a trend, and I want to see it go all the way to Worlds. No, I'm kidding. It probably won't happen, but anyway, Gigabyte Marines played this one really well, and partially you have to think maybe Rampage didn't play it that well either. They didn't really respond that well to the lane swap that Gigabyte Marines pulled off. I think there might have been a better response to that because they stayed passive, I think, for way too long. And they should have known that with their team composition, they were digging their own grave, allowing that much dead air to go on, because as the seconds passed, like you said, Noe would just continue to farm and kill all of them at eventually like 30 minutes. So that really wasn't a good response to what Gigabyte Marines did, and this may have actually shaken the momentum that LJL had since the group stage. And imagining C possibly winning Rift Rivals at this point after barely getting out of the semifinals yesterday, if Gigabyte Marines wins this next game again, then Ascension, it'll be on them for the series.
Definitely, you know. But regardless, wow, what a game it did. I might actually have to agree with you and follow suit on watching the replay on this game, because that was pretty baffling. Even I'm surprised.
Yeah.
All the more for Rampage. But of course, ladies and gents, that has been Game 3 for the finals of Rift Rivals 2017. Of course, this is between the GPL and the LJL. We have been your casters, Arctic at your service fam. And of course, with me is Amplifier. We'll be right back after a quick break. Stay tuned.